So, is it that time in your life yet? Do you feel like your family is complete and you and your spouse want to not worry about changing that? Well, the decision can be difficult, but the recovery doesn't have to be. After your vasectomy, you gotta get testes. Doctors usually recommend a jockstrap and ice for your boys to help with comfort. Well, testes is the best of both worlds. This is for the man who is out on the go and needs to get things done. You get the ice packs from the freezer, strap up, and saddle up. The packs give you at least 20 minutes of comfort, even if you're just sitting around watching the game. And most important, guys, no wet spots. Put on the jockstrap under your briefs and go about your day. They come in 3 sizes, medium, large, and extra large to get your right fit. Now head on over to testes.com. That's TEST-EEZE.com. TEST-EEZE.com. Your wife is going to thank you for the snip, and your testes are going to be thanking me. Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee, and this is a show where we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, Patreon, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts. Did I say that before? Basically wherever, guys. While you're there, go and rate, review, subscribe, then head on over to the Facebook group and Twitter account and join in the discussion. Don't forget dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com in case you have any more lengthy topics you want to bring up. And you can find me personally, Slim Dayspring12 on Twitter and Instagram. What's up, guys? It is Monday here in Austin, Texas. It's been a rainy morning. I think the clouds are kind of moving away maybe, but it was rained all morning. I got soaked. It was not fun, but any event, we're here now. Maybe the rain will give up. We'll see how it goes. As you know, usually I try to do these recordings on Sundays, but as I usually say, it's at the bottom of my to-do list, priorities, stuff like this happens. And yesterday I got off work, a little bit of a rough day, so I made the choice to take my wife out for a couple of drinks, headed over to Jalisco's Mexican Grill, and had a couple of what I call alcoholic Slurpees, otherwise known as frozen margaritas. Came home feeling good. We watched some Olympics. I watched a little bit of The Mummy, the 1999 movie with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. Great film. And just the day got away from me. You gotta be in the right mood, to do this. I gotta be pumped up and ready to do it. So yesterday I just wasn't feeling it. Too much, stuff going on. It makes sense. So came home today from work and decided, yes, I'm going to do an episode. I'm in the mood to do one. I'm pumped about it. So let's get into it. So for those of you who are joining for the first time, here's how it go, guys. Throughout the week, I post stuff on the Facebook and Twitter account. You, of course, do the same thing there. And then when I get a chance, like today, I like to run through some of my favorite topics throughout the last week, talk about them more in length, and then, of course, you guys fire back if you want. Continue to use the social media accounts and the Gmail account, and we have a nice, big, friendly discussion about all the things that we love to geek out about it. Got it? All right, well, let's get into it then. So, housekeeping, starting off the bat, this next week, I know, on Friday, technically Thursday night, James Gunn's newest film, Suicide Squad, hits theaters and HBO Max. So I will not be doing a show next weekend because on Wednesday, I'm taking my wife, my daughter, and we're heading to the beach. That's right. Every August, right before school starts, we usually go to the Gulf Coast and take a couple of days just to enjoy the beach. My wife hates the beach, actually, but me and my daughter enjoy it. I love the beach. Some of my greatest childhood memories were me and my family driving down to Daytona Beach in Florida. I love those trips. They were so much fun. I love the beach. My daughter likes the beach. My wife does not like the beach, which is why we compromise. Instead of spending like a full week there, it's just a couple of days. We do it, like I said, right before school starts back up. Usually have a good time, but that's going to be for a couple of days, so I will not be doing another episode, which sucks because, like I said, Suicide Squad comes out. I will not probably even watch it. I could watch it on HBO Max, but that's not the type of fan I am. The first time I want to see it on the big screen. So my plan is when we come back on Sunday, I'll see it Sunday night. And then maybe that Monday, like I'm doing right now, I'll come home from work and maybe share some thoughts on it. We'll see how it goes, guys. But you guys, check out Suicide Squad. Hope you do, because from all the reviews, it seems like it's batshit crazy. And of course, it seems like from what I hear that Warner Brothers basically let James Gunn go nuts. No really like constraints. Like Guardians of the Galaxy was a little out there, but it was still a little more family-friendly fun. With this, I think they just let James Gunn do whatever he wanted, which makes it very interesting, and I am very eager to see it, even though I'm not a huge fan of the Suicide Squad as far as the comic books and some of the characters. It just looks really like a wacky, fun, crazy good time, and that's what I'm looking forward to. So I will talk about that as soon as I see it, but it won't be, Friday, Saturday, or even Sunday. It'll be Monday before I can actually share my thoughts about it. But luckily, though, like I said, going to the beach, usually when we take these trips or whatever, I'm the type of person, I log off social media during, the vacation time. I still, check out websites and stuff like that, but Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I usually stay off of that, which is good because if I can't see this movie for a couple of days, I don't want to go on social media anyway, so that's kind of a good thing. But that's what's going on. Hopefully, you guys let me know what you think about Suicide Squad, and we'll talk about it next week after I see it. Okay, so now we get that cleared up. Let's get into it. So usually what I like to start the show off is a little segment I call What's Got My Attention. Now, this is something I've either been watching or reading lately that kind of has my focus right now. And I just got done a couple days ago reading the newest Star Wars High Republic book, The Rising Storm by Kevin Scott. Now, this is the part of the second wave of High Republic books that Lucasfilm publishing, along with Marvel and IDW, Del Rey, they've all kind of come together. And I gotta say, I'm really enjoying it. So the first wave, what it is for those who don't know, it's 5 writers, I think is what it is. Charles Soule, Claudia Gray, Justina Ireland, who else is in it? Kevin Scott, Daniel Jose Older are the 5 writers. And they got together with the people at Lucasfilm, the story group, several years ago, and they plotted out this whole publishing initiative of, again, this whole shared universe in the Star Wars galaxy set 200 years before the events of the Phantom Menace, when the Jedi were at the height of their power, kind of comparing it, they said, to almost like a Camelot, a time of peace and prosperity and growth for the galaxy. But then, of course, things pop up, like you have the villains as Niles, you have the creatures known as the Den here, but it's all about following these Jedi in this time, in their height of power. And the cool thing is, like with each wave, it's kind of centered around a certain event. So the first wave, you had what's called the Great Disaster. And you have an adult book, Light of the Jedi, A Test of Courage, which was the middle age reader. What was the other one? Into the Dark was the young adult reader. And then you also had the Great Jedi Rescue, which was the kid book. And they're all pretty much different points of view from the same event, and they're doing the same thing with this next round where you have the Republic Fair. And like I said, The Rising Storm was the adult book. They also have Out of the Shadows that just came out, the young adult version, and then Race to Crash Point Tower. And again, they're going to be centered around the Republic Fair and the battle or what happens in that. But I'm really digging this. I think it's something interesting. And if you're a Star Wars fan who is, complaining, I guess, a little bit about how Disney treated the last set of movies and how they're not really integrating and interweaving enough, this is right up your alley. Because, yes, it's a whole set of fresh characters that, have nothing to do with the films or even the TV shows because it's set so far ahead of them. But you got some interesting characters. You got Jedi fights, and like I said, they're interweaving. There's stuff that, I was reading in The Rising Storm, and they were referencing stuff that was happening in the Marvel High Republic comic books, and there's characters that were going to be in, what is it, the race to Crash Point Tower, the middle-aged reader. I know that character popped up a little bit also in the adult book, The Rising Storm. So again, it's all interweaving, really good stuff, and there's more to come. I really like how they're doing it. It's good Star Wars adventures. It's what I like about Star Wars, which is, the Jedi and their adventures and all that stuff. But I enjoyed. If you've checked out The High Republic, let me know what you think. If you have not checked it out, get a hold of me and I'll tell you where to start. Okay, so let's get into the topics for today. Like I said, I pick out 3 stories that came out last week and I expand on them a little bit more, share more of my thoughts, and we go from there, guys. So let's jump into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the newest trailer for the upcoming Ghostbusters film, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Now, this film, one of the many films that was supposed to come out in 2020, got pushed back because of COVID and the whole pandemic, with that. Set to come out November 11th at the end of this year. And we got, I think probably what we'll call our second trailer is what we got with it. So this one, just to read the IMDb description of it, when a single mom and her 2 kids arrive in a small town, they begin to discover their connection to the original Ghostbusters and the secret legacy their grandfather left behind. So the film was directed by Jason Reitman. Now, Jason Reitman has done some great films. Most notably, he did Juno. Also, he did Up in the Air, which is a movie I love, and Thank You for Smoking. Also did was The Front Runner, that had Hugh Jackman in it, I believe, and some other ones. Just a real, great director, honestly. And it's no surprise because his dad is Ivan Reitman, who is the director of the original Ghostbusters films. So kind of passing the torch a little bit kind of felt right in that regard. In this film, first off, you have all the original living characters back. You have Sigourney Weaver, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, Annie Potts. Not sure how much capacity we'll see them. Of course, we saw Annie Potts in this trailer. She looks like she's the grandmother to the title characters, which is Trevor and Phoebe, played by Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things. And then McKenna Grace, who I most notably know myself from the Chris Evans movie Gifted. She was also in I, Tonya. She played the kid version of Carol Danvers in Captain Marvel as well. She's also in that show Young Sheldon on CBS. So I like her. She's a good young actress. And it's like I said, her, it looks like her brother are going to be more the center of this. The film also has Paul Rudd, which add Paul Rudd to anything, and that's just good stuff. So based off this trailer, it looks interesting. I'm a Ghostbusters fan. I've said this before. I talked about it, when the first trailer came out. I grew up in the 80s, right in the middle of the Ghostbuster hype. I had, the toys, and I'm not sure if I had Ecto-1, the car or not. I know I had a couple of the toys. Egon, I remember the Egon toy that I had. He only had 1 foot because my dog had chewed the other foot off, but I still played with him. And of course, me and my brother were Ghostbusters at least once or twice for Halloween. My mom, got us some toy proton packs. And then also we had these, they were like work overalls, like brown work overalls. And then she just kind of put like a Ghostbusters sticker or patch on them or whatever. And we were the Ghostbusters. So I enjoyed it, of course. You have the cartoons as well and all of that. So I'm a Ghostbusters fan. And it's funny, too, because I got out of the shower today and I have my rotation of t-shirts, and the next shirt in my rotation was my Ghostbusters shirt. So I'm wearing that right now as I'm talking about Ghostbusters. How about that? So yeah, it looks like from the trailer, the kids or grandkids of Egon and Janine moved to this small town, and they inherit this house that their grandparents or their parents had. And the funny thing we got from this trailer versus the other one was, they go to this small town and then ghost stuff starts happening. And we kind of got the sense that Egon, who, played by the late, great Harold Ramis, he moved to this town for a reason, probably because of its paranormal activity or potential for paranormal activity. And it's just coming about now. and Phoebe starts to investigate more about who her grandfather was and the Ghostbusters. You see the online commercials from the original Ghostbusters as well. And then, of course, at the end, you get a phone call. Somebody picks up, and it's Dan Aykroyd's voice. So, again, how much they're going to incorporate the original Ghostbusters besides Annie Potts, I don't know. This trailer, I'm very mixed about it. I'm very mixed about this film because it's Ghostbusters, so I want it to be good, and it looks like it could be good, especially in the hands of someone like Jason Reitman. My fear is, though, is that it's going to be about the kids being the Ghostbusters, and that's what I don't want. That's not what the original films were. That's not what the franchise is about. Just not that. I mean, I think you had, what is it, Extreme Ghostbusters, that cartoon in the 90s, but that's not what, exactly this is deriving from, what it's coming from. So if it's about the kids hunting ghosts and taking them out, I'm less excited about it. But then again, bringing the old Ghostbusters back, these, no offense, older guys coming back to fight ghosts, I don't know if I want to see that either. I'd much rather see Paul Rudd and a group of guys take them on. I mean, I saw this years ago, and I still thought it was the best, was taking those 4 guys from the 40-Year-Old Virgin, Paul Rudd, Steve Carell, Seth Rogen, and I forget the other guy. I know the actor. I don't remember what his name was, but take those 4 guys and remake Ghostbusters, or even do a continuation. That would have been great. That would have been so great with those 4 as the new Ghostbusters, but we only got 1 out of the 4 in this film, so anyway, my fear is just that it's going to be the kids as the Ghostbusters rather than adults as Ghostbusters, which I know it's Ghostbusters. It's supposed to be kiddie-ish, or at least family-friendly, and kids will enjoy seeing the kids catch ghosts. I totally understand all that, but to me, that's just not what the franchise is. So anyway, this trailer I thought looked interesting. Got me a little more interested in the film. You have the little Stay Puft guys in the supermarket, it looks like, coming alive. And another thing, too, with these specific ghosts, is it Gozer? Is it Gozer? Is he back? Is that why Egon went to this small town? Because that's where Gozer is? Because we saw some little, I don't want to say hellhounds, but the dogs, and then I feel like there's a lot of effects and things that are happening that are very Gozer-like from the original film. It would make sense story-wise. That's why Egon wanted to move to this small town, because he thought Gozer may appear in this town, just like it did in New York all those years ago. It would make sense story-wise. I get it, but it's Ghostbusters. I'm going to see it. I got a little more excited, but I'm trying to be cautious as well. Like I said, it's in a good hands of a good director, a good cast. We'll just see how it all plays out, guys. But did you see the newest trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife? Let me know what you think. If you're excited for this, if you're not excited, definitely makes me want to rewatch the films, which I'd rewatch them anyway because they're just such awesome films. Even the second one. I'll even say I love the second one. Now, I know the newest one with, the girls wasn't the best, but it wasn't horrible. I don't think we ever need to reference it again, but I don't think it was the sack of crap that some people make it out to be. But anyway, guys, let me know. Fire back your thoughts on Ghostbusters Afterlife. All right, guys, next up on the block, looks like, according to the Hollywood Reporter, we are getting J.K. Simmons back as Commissioner Gordon, but it's not going to be in a Batman film or even a Justice League film. According to THR, he is going to be back as Commissioner James Gordon in the Batgirl film coming out on HBO Max. Now, we reported last week, or talked about last week, how they had cast Leslie Grace from Into the Heights as the title character Batgirl, aka Barbara Gordon. Some people liked it, some people didn't. Either way, but what makes this one interesting is the fact that it kind of confirms that this HBO Max movie is going to be part of the greater DCEU continuity, or canon, if you will. A lot of people were speculating that, with Leslie Grace, It's going to be on HBO Max, and then them making a Gotham City show, Gotham PD show on HBO Max as well, which I can't say this, spins out of the upcoming The Batman film with Robert Pattinson. With that Police City show going to be on HBO Max as well, they thought that the Batgirl was going to be rolled into that universe rather the DCEU. But like I said, J.K. Simmons coming in makes it seem like it's going to be part of the grand cinematic DC films universe, and that's fine with me either way. I mean, it's interesting that they're doing it, but I'm fine with it either way. I know there's a lot of people with a lot of mixed feelings about DC cinematic universe, starting with Man of Steel and now going all the way to Suicide Squad that comes out this week as well. It's all part of the same world, although I think Warner Brothers has learned the value of when they try to connect everything, it didn't work as well, but I think that had a lot to do with how it was connected and how Zack Snyder was bringing it all together. Love it or hate it, it was like that. And when they started doing more separate films like Aquaman, Shazam, more separating the characters but still keeping them within the universe, they feel like it worked a little better for them, and I think that's what they're doing. So yes, they'll bring J.K. Simmons back as Commissioner Gordon in this Batgirl film. How connected it's going to be? I mean, are we going to get references to Ben Affleck's Batman, or even see him in it, or pictures of him, or what's going on? We don't know yet. For the most part, I enjoyed the DC films, and the cast and that they've gotten together. As far as the films, though, I haven't been a huge fan of a lot of them, so we'll see how this goes either way. I like that they're trying to still stick with it, trying to course correct, if you will, what has happened with their DC films. And they don't have to be connected. It's much like I said, in comic books, every hero has their own title, their own adventures, and then every once in a while they come together for a Justice League or a Suicide Squad or a Teen Titans, or even guest star in each other's books. That's just the way it is. And this can be no different. That's what I love about the MCU, is that it's treated very much like a comic book universe. And I think they can do that as well for the DC stuff too. And J.K. Simmons, anything that gets us more J.K. Simmons, I'm all about. Whether he's coming back as J. Jonah Jameson in Spider-Man, or coming back as Commissioner Gordon in DC's Batgirl, either way works for me, guys. But let me know what you think, okay? J.K. Simmons coming back kind of confirms that this film will be set in the grander DCEU. Do you think it's a good idea, bad idea? Would you rather Batgirl be set up more towards the Batman film with Robert Pattinson and that whole thing? Fire back, let me know. DayspringDiscussions@gmail.com, Twitter, and of course, the Facebook group. Alrighty then, the last story I got for today comes out of Collider. So producer John Davis was speaking with Collider and talking about various projects that he is involved in. One of them is Dan Trachtenberg's Predator sequel, which is in production now. And he also talked about another Waterworld project, a series coming out. Of course, Waterworld, the Kevin Costner film, which I kind of have an affinity for. If you saw on Facebook, I enjoy the film just mainly because of my love of water and my desire to have gills and webbed feet. But nonetheless, he also talked about the long-awaited Taika Waititi Flash Gordon film. Now, originally, this film was set to be an animated film, but now it looks like it might be live action. So originally, Disney and 20th Century Studios hired Taika Waititi to update Flash Gordon back in 2019. Now, then they were talking about doing it animated. And Taika Waititi, said that Flash Gordon, he loved it as a kid, huge influence on it. And then he said, wait a minute, let's do it live action. And Jonathan Davis kind of agreed. So he said, quote, about Taika Waititi, he has the most fantastical, interesting vision for this film. And you can only know it is Taika. It is what he does. It is the way he looks at the world. He is the greatest guy in the world. He's the funniest guy in the world, and he thinks on a different plane. And this movie embraces everything that's special about Taika and his vision. It harkens in an very interesting way to the original concept of the comics. So it looks like Taika Waititi, Disney, 20th Century, all those people are going to bring us a Flash Gordon live action film. Now, if you remember correctly, the last live action Flash Gordon film was way back in 1980 with the bitchin' soundtrack by Queen. That's right, Queen, the one and only. And I remember that film quite fondly. It played a lot at my house, as my dad was a big sci-fi guy and a Flash Gordon guy, and that's how I grew up. And you know, Flash Gordon's a character who has a lot of influence in a lot of people. Like I said, Taika Waititi, going back to even, George Lucas quotes, Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers all the time as part of his inspiration for Star Wars. I know Sci-Fi did a Flash Gordon series, or tried to get one going maybe 10 years ago or so. It starred the guy who played Whitney from Smallville, which I thought was a good casting, actually. And I watched a couple of episodes, but I don't think it lasted past season 1. But Flash Gordon's a great story. I mean, I'm not a huge, Flash Gordon guy myself, but the story is interesting. I know the 1980 movie was about this professional quarterback who gets abducted by aliens and he has to end up saving the world. And it's a ridiculous premise, so ridiculous that in the Seth MacFarlane film Ted with Mark Wahlberg, they tease it and make fun of it all the time and say how Tom Brady could totally save the universe. It's quite funny. If you haven't seen Ted, of course, you can watch that. But again, Flash Gordon I think is a good concept, and in Taika Waititi's hands, I think could be something really special, mainly because this is the main reason I brought this story up, because I feel like he's already made a Flash Gordon movie, okay? And it's called Thor Ragnarok. I asked my wife, I swear to God, when we came out of Thor Ragnarok, I said, this film isn't a very good Thor film, but it's a good Flash Gordon movie. I mean, I told her, they should have named it Flash Gordon Ragnarok, because it felt like this epic space adventure with this, blonde-haired guy running around. It was a really good premise for a Flash Gordon movie, I think, in my eyes, but it was Thor. So that's kind of what brought me towards this, is I'm not a huge fan of Ragnarok because, like I said, I don't think it's a very good Thor film. It's not that I don't think it's a good film in general. I even do this with, X-Men Apocalypse, okay? X-Men Apocalypse, I recognize, is not a good film, but I think it's a good X-Men film as far as references and character beats and all that. So that's how I feel about Flash Gordon, and the opposite. I don't think it's a good Thor film, but I do think it's an enjoyable film in general. So Taika Waititi, I think, could definitely, do a good Flash Gordon, just because I think Taika Waititi is just a good filmmaker in general. With everything he's doing, it's going to be a lot of hoot, a lot of holler, and a lot of fun, to say the least. I don't think they have a date set for this, but it looks like they got a story going out there. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes, guys. But Taika Waititi, Flash Gordon, switching from animation to live action. What do you think? It could be very easy. I mean, seriously, they could really just, cast Chris Hemsworth again as Flash Gordon, and you could even do what's his name, Hulk, Mark Ruffalo as he's a scientist guy or something like that. It can be very easy. You literally just take the cast of Thor Ragnarok, put them in each their roles. You could have Jeff Goldblum as Ming the Merciless. That would be awesome. It's very simple, and like I said, I just think the reason I bring this up is because I think Taika Waititi has already made a pretty good Flash Gordon film that was called Thor Ragnarok. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think. How do you feel about Flash Gordon, Taika Waititi making it, all that stuff? Fire back, of course, let me know. And that is going to be it for me today. It's Monday, so we're probably going to watch some Olympics tonight. This house, we watch the Olympics. The swimming stuff is done, which is kind of more my cup of tea. I know they're finishing up gymnastics, and won't get into all the Simone Biles stuff on that. But we enjoy watching the Olympics in this house, to say the least, which means I haven't watched a lot of other movies and TV, but oh well, we'll finish it up later. But that's going to be it for more. Like I said, guys, hopefully you guys have a good week. Check out Suicide Squad. I can't wait to see it myself, and we'll gather back together next week and see what we all think about it, discuss it, and hopefully it's as fun as we've been hearing. So that's it. Go out, have a good week, have a good life, and until next time, guys, may the Force be with us all.